Hey everyone, it's Caitlin and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I make simple and delicious vegan recipes, so make sure you subscribe to my channel to see all of my content. Today I am bringing you 4 delicious, easy, and budget-friendly, and also I believe pantry-friendly recipes. They're both delicious and wholesome, but the star of the show is my favorite bean, chickpeas, aka garbanzo beans. I just say chickpeas. I seriously think this is the most versatile bean. I think chickpeas can fit into almost every dish. I mean, like, we even have sweet dishes like chickpea cookie dough. They can be roasted, they can play in soups, stews, you can just eat them plain. They're delicious. They have a great texture that's actually pretty unique among beans. And I love how they're a great source of plant-based protein and fiber too. So today I am sharing 4 different recipes for you. I guarantee you're going to love at least one of them. All of them will be linked down below, but let me just walk you through all of them right now. First up, let's make some sheet pan garlic Dijon chickpea bowls. That sounds like a mouthful, and honestly, it sounds more complicated than it actually is. We're basically making a delicious sheet pan meal with crispy chickpeas. I love this recipe because it really all comes together in one bowl and one sheet pan. First, we're making a garlic Dijon marinade. You may recognize this from my garlic Dijon potatoes. It's actually exactly the same, but we're just adding different veggies and chickpeas. So we've got some olive oil, garlic, Dijon mustard, aka the best mustard, salt, and black pepper. Then just whisk that up until it's kind of thick, like you can see here. Then we'll add in all our veggies. So we're still adding some potatoes, but we're also going to add some bell pepper and carrots. Though I will say this recipe is very open to interpretation. You could add broccoli, green beans, green bell pepper if you for some reason like them more than red. I don't know, maybe check on that. But anyways, add it, mix it all up, add it to the baking tray, spread it around with your spatula, and leave about 1/3 to 1/2 of the baking sheet clear, because now we're going to take the exact same bowl. Don't do anything to it. As you'll see, not all of the marinade has stuck to the veggies. So then we're just going to add in our chickpeas and mix it all up. This is a great way to catch the extra marinade, and it also perfectly coats the chickpeas to make them nice and crispy. What do you know? Genius. So again, put that on the rest of the baking sheet, spread it out so you have a little bit of space between the chickpeas, and then we're just going to bake that up. If you want to, you can make a kale salad to go with everything. Personally, I like it. I like how the greens add a nice element of freshness. We're using the same bowl and just basically adding the same ingredients. We've got olive oil, mustard, and we're just adding a little bit of lemon juice for acidity and some salt and pepper. And this is going to form the very simple dressing for our kale salad. So whisk all of that up and then just add in your chopped and de-stemmed kale and massage it. I've said it a million times, but I'll say it again. Make sure you're massaging your kale greens. Look how tender they get. It makes it so much easier to chew and digest and actually make your salads enjoyable. So once our veggies are cooked, you're just going to transfer the kale into serving bowls, top it off with your roasted veggies, and then add the chickpea croutons. I like them. Well, I guess they're not croutons, but you know, I was gonna say I like them because they're almost like croutons because they're crispy, but they pair well with the veggies as well as the salad. I like to top mine off with a little bit of fresh parsley and black pepper for that extra texture and a bite, and there you go. This recipe also works great for meal prep. Next up, we are entering our dump and bake era, starting with our chickpea and rice casserole. I am obsessed with dump and bake recipes because they're perfect for weeknight dinners. You just start by boiling some liquid on the stovetop and you throw a bunch of stuff in a pan. So for this recipe, it's a little bit creamy, a little bit savory. We've got some vegan imitation chicken broth, some coconut milk, and some nutritional yeast. Whisk all of that together until the nutritional yeast is dissolved, and then just cover and bring that to a boil and set it aside. In the meantime, we'll add all of our veggies to our casserole dish, starting with some chickpeas. We'll also add onion, celery, garlic, and diced mushrooms. This adds a ton of umami flavor. This recipe is kind of inspired by like a chicken creamy casserole. So it's like adding the cream of mushroom soup, but instead of that, we're making our own broth, adding mushrooms and adding chickpeas instead of chicken, you know. So as you can see, we're just gonna top it all off with some rice, mix that in a bit, but not too much, and then pour the broth on top and just flatten it all out and make sure all of the rice is submerged. I don't like to mix the rice too much because then it all falls to the bottom. So when you sort of gently mix it in, it's more evenly distributed after the casserole bakes. That's my pro tip. So you can cover your dish, you can use a lid or just cover it with foil or parchment paper, followed by foil, and it's going to bake for around 45 minutes and look something like this. Then all you have to do is mix it up. You can see the rice is perfectly cooked and everything is infused with that yummy broth flavor, which I think just makes this dish so delicious. I also love how this is super budget friendly too, and the ingredients are very pantry friendly as well. Mushrooms, celery, onions are all things that will last in your fridge for a very long time, and all things that are generally available year-round and are pretty affordable at the grocery store. Again, I just like to top it off with a little bit of parsley for an extra pop, then serve and enjoy. Now we can move on to our second dump and bake casserole. So this one's same but different. We're doing a curry flavored chickpea casserole. So we're going to start out by dry toasting some cumin seeds in a pot. I personally like the cumin seeds because they add a lot of flavor and a nice textural pop of flavor when you bite into them, but you can totally use ground cumin too. Just add it in right here with the curry powder and salt instead, and you don't have to toast it. We just are combining it with, as you can see, with some coconut milk and some water, keeping this broth pretty simple. Just mix until the curry powder is mostly dissolved, then cover and bring it to a boil. You guys know the drill, you just saw me do it. So this time for this casserole, we're going to be using some cauliflower, some onion, carrots, some peas, frozen peas, just thaw them real quick, and then add your chickpeas. And we're also using chopped cilantro stems, which have just as much flavor as the leaves, and it's a great way to use all of the herb. I also added in a bit of garlic. Just mix everything up until that's evenly combined, and then we're going to sprinkle the top with rice. I'm using basmati rice, which is an Indian rice. It's a longer grain. It has a slightly more nutty flavor. It's still a white rice, and most grocery stores will carry it. This is kind of an Indian-inspired recipe, so I wanted to use that rice, but you could totally use another white rice, or I actually have notes on my blog for how you can use both brown rice and quinoa as well. So click the link in the description of this video to check that out. Then just add your liquid to the casserole. Again, mix it up a bit. Make sure all of the grains of rice are submerged so you don't get any dry, crusty rice after the casserole is done cooking. Again, and then cover and bake. It'll be at the same time, about 45 minutes. And once the casserole is done, again, you can uncover and give it a nice stir. As you can see, the basmati rice, it like gets almost kind of wavy. It's a little bit longer as a nice texture element to the rice, but we're not done. We're adding some color and texture. As you can see, I love topping off all my dishes with fresh herbs. This time we're using cilantro and some almonds for a nice crunchy texture. I also think this would be really good topped with some of my pickled red onions if you want a little bit more of a tangy flavor element. Either way, this is super satisfying, great for weeknight dinner, great for meal prep. It's also freezer friendly too. Highly recommend you check it out. Last but certainly not least, we are making some soup, not just any soup, lemon chickpea orzo soup. This recipe to me is very similar to a chicken noodle, except we're using chickpeas, and lemon adds a nice fresh element, which honestly I think makes it even better than chicken noodle soup. We're going to start out with very classic soup base, warm some olive oil in a Dutch oven, and add your mirepoix, which is just a fancy French term for a mix of onion, celery, and carrots. Saute this for a few minutes until the flavors sort of combine. Then we'll add our spices. We've got garlic and Italian seasoning. Then just mix this up until the garlic is fragrant, and you can go ahead and add in some flour. Sprinkle this on top and mix it in. This is going to help thicken our soup and make it a little bit more creamy, but I have notes in the blog post for a gluten-free variation, so definitely check that out too if you don't want to use flour. Then just add in your chickpeas and some imitation vegan chicken broth. I do prefer the flavor of vegan chicken broth for this because it's sort of like a mock chicken noodle, but that being said, if you can't find it near you, you can totally use vegetable broth as well. Cover this and bring the mixture to a boil, and then we're going to go ahead and add in our orzo, which isn't a rice, it's actually a pasta, just in case you didn't know. But there are actually a lot of gluten-free orzos on the market as well, so you could totally use that or just use a rice. Simmer it until the orzo is cooked, and then we're going to finish it off with some lemon juice and some spinach to really add some greens and a pop of fresh flavor. I just think the lemon really ties everything together, makes it both fresh and cozy. And we're also going to be making a gremolata, which again is a fancy term for just chopped parsley mixed with lemon zest and a little bit of salt. This way you're using the whole lemon, and this seriously, again, makes you look fancy, but it's so simple to make, and it really adds a nice flavor punch to the soup. The soup already has a really great hearty lemon flavor, but I think just adding the fresh herbs on top really takes it to the next level, and it takes us to sort of like a, you know, a cozy soup that I would totally enjoy to something you could serve to guests, and I feel like they'd be impressed even by you just saying the word gremolata. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but this is really delicious and you should try it. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, and tell me in the comments what's your favorite way to prepare chickpeas. Is it one of these recipes that I just showed you? Is it something different? Do you have any other requests for chickpeas or other bean related recipes? I would love to know, so leave a comment and tell me. As always, all the recipes are linked below, and you can find them all on my blog with full instructions, a printable recipe, an image to save to Pinterest for later, all of that jazz. So I hope you all are doing well, and I look forward to virtually seeing you in the next video. But before then, if you want to follow me on Instagram or TikTok, I post a lot of video content there that sometimes doesn't make it to YouTube. So if you want all the delicious eats, make sure to follow me on those platforms too. All right, take care, have a great day, eat some beans, be happy, etc., etc. And I'll see you guys in a future video. Bye.